Hello, I'm Alexia. Let me help you to take the fear out of birth with a mix of real-life positive birth stories and birthing experts sharing their wisdom. I'll also be sharing tips to help you get into the fearless mindset. Fear-Free Childbirth is the online destination for women seeking to take the fear out of birth, with fear clearance meditations, online fear clearance courses and programmes for overcoming tocophobia. Find out more at fearfreechildbirth.com. Welcome back to the Fear-Free Childbirth podcast. This is me, your host, Alexia Leachman, and thank you so much for joining me today. So in today's show, I want to talk about anxiety during pregnancy. And the reason I want to talk about anxiety during pregnancy is because of a collaboration project that I'm involved in that I really want to share with you. So I'm working with the University of Nottingham, their psychology department, and we're collaborating on a research project looking into how we can reduce anxiety and depression during pregnancy. And so as part of this project, I'm going to be contributing my work in fearless birthing, so my fearless birthing method that enables women to clear their fears, reduce their stresses and anxiety. And so the work that I've done as part of this programme, I'm contributing this as part of this research project to the University of Nottingham in the UK. So today on the podcast, I'm going to be joined by the research associate, Dr. Megan Barnard, and we're going to be talking about anxiety during pregnancy and also a little bit about the project because we are looking for participants in the project. So we're looking for pregnant women coming up to their second trimester. So if you think you'd like to take part, you're based in the UK, but maybe you don't want to take part, maybe you're just interested to hear more about anxiety during pregnancy. Now, what's really, really interesting is that Dr. Megan Barnard specialises in anxiety. And so when we started working together, this was very interesting for her because looking at pregnancy was a new domain for her. But over the course of our research project, she has herself become pregnant. So suddenly the work that we're doing together has taken on a whole new meaning for her and it's become very personal. So it's been a very interesting journey for both of us. But anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. So I just want to hand over to the time that I spoke to Dr. Megan Barnard all about anxiety during pregnancy and the research collaboration that we're taking part in together. So here is the time that I spoke to her. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, my name is Alexia and I'm the host of the Fear-Free Childbirth podcast and I'm also the author of Fearless Birthing. And today I'm going to be speaking with Megan Barnard from the University of Nottingham about a research project that we're collaborating on. Megan, welcome.
Hi Alexa, how are you doing?
Really, really well, thank you, really, really well. So so before we go too much further, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about your work at the University of Nottingham?
Absolutely. So as you've already said, my name's Dr. Megan Barnard. I am employed as a teaching associate at the University of Nottingham, but I also get chances to pursue my research interests. What I'm really interested in is looking at the relationship between anxiety and how that affects what happens to us in the real world. And this is in any sort of domains in life. So, for example, my PhD was in transportation and looking at anxious driving, but I'm also interested in different domains such as test anxiety, social media anxiety, and also particularly with Alexa's work into fearless birthing. So looking at anxiety in pregnancy is something that really fits into what I do and really something I'm interested in. So that's sort of why I was interested in sort of doing this project and collaborating with you in the first place, I would say.
Brilliant. So the project that we're collaborating on, let's just talk a little bit about that so that people know what we're talking about. So essentially, one thing that I've come across in the work that I do is that women do experience levels of fear and anxiety during their pregnancy. And the work that I'm doing is, and I've developed a technique for reducing fear and anxiety, and it's really the work that as a result of the work I've been doing, I've really noticed the impact in terms of how women are able to reduce their levels of anxiety and fear throughout their pregnancy and how therefore that can impact on their birth experience in a positive way. And so I was interested in how we could get some evidence behind this and demonstrate this in a really powerful way so that we could then take this work further and introduce it to even more women so that more women can benefit from having anxiety-free, fear-free pregnancies and birth experience. So that was where I was coming to. And then that's how we came together, wasn't it?
It's exactly what it was. So we got into contact about a year and a half ago now to talk about what your interests were and how we could fit that in within the university project itself. So after a few months of getting that through university procedures, we're now running this study as an online questionnaire-based study. So anyone who takes part in it gets access to the Fearless Birthing Programme over part of their second trimester, and we're just looking at seeing how you feel, particularly in terms of whether it's effective in reducing any levels of anxiety itself. And it's been really sort of interesting to look at that project and look at those findings so far.
And particularly for you now, your situation's changed somewhat since taking on the project. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how your situation's changed?
Yeah, so when I first started this project out, it was I was just doing it as a typical researcher, getting involved, collecting data. However, at the time of recording this, I am 15 weeks pregnant. So a lot of what we're talking about in the programme, a lot of what's involved with the fearless birthing methods, and a lot of what you talk about resonates with me a lot more. So it has much more of a personal investment now, I would say.
So have you noticed any, now that you're pregnant, did you notice that your levels of anxiety or fear, some new things were coming in that maybe weren't going on before for you? Has that been part of your experience?
I would certainly say so. I would actually say there is a whole sort of range of emotions that I've been feeling. I think the first thing that I felt was definitely fear. So I think the impression that everyone gives you is that it's an exciting time, you're always going to be happy, you're going to be glowing, it's fantastic. The first thing I remember when I got a positive pregnancy test was just immediate fear of what would happen. I'm a first-time pregnancy, this is first-time parenting, and I had no idea what was going to happen. Was it all going to be okay? Was something bad going to happen? And I really let that fear, I have to be honest, I did let it consume me, and I tried to occasionally I would try to avoid any sort of, for example, fear of miscarriage was a massive one for me, I would say. And I probably made the big mistake, I would say personally this is a big mistake, of just reading lots of forums on the internet, because again you forget it's an individual birthing experience, people go through things differently, and it sets you in a bit of a negative mind frame rather than just reflecting and reappraising that yourself. And I think since we've passed the 12-week mark, it's really sort of changed into a mixture of worries about, how's things going to go at work? How are people going to treat me? And am I going to be seen differently? And also just those general, I would say, pregnancy fears themselves. So I do have occasionally worrying about, when's my morning sickness going to go away? Am I going to get rid of the headaches finally? And then occasionally I do actually think about the worrying about the birth itself. So I've been reading a lot of your book, Alexa, and a couple of things that really stand out for me are this fear of pain, because it's always been a joke in my family that I don't have any pain tolerance, I wouldn't be able to cope with it surely. So it's always been a little bit of a worry on my mind. And also the fear of needles as well, which I read in your book you initially had a fear of that. And it's always, I think for me, I was always I've always known about the idea of having an injection straight after you give birth. And I remember being back at school being told that this science teacher gave us a story about how she had it once, it was okay, and the second time it was the worst thing in the world she'd ever had. And me not liking needles, that's always stuck with me. And now it's the time I'm going to be due to be giving birth. It's like, it's going to hurt and I'm going to have a needle in my leg, and it's going to be quite worrying. So I think there's lots of sort of anxieties and worries there, and just in many different areas of life, I think.
And I'm just wondering, with your professional perspective on anxiety and the work that you do, you mentioned social media anxiety and how you did end up ploughing into forums and things. So with that kind of awareness that you've got from a professional perspective, and how even though some of this stuff, you've succumbed to some of it as well, does your professional experience and expertise on this, has that been helping you to navigate it, or has your emotions kind of been dragging you through it anyway?
I would actually say that it's one of those things for me where it's like it doesn't matter how much I know about, for example, anxiety, how it impacts you, there's always going to be that human side of you that takes over. So I think for me, despite knowing, being scared or being anxious in this particular environment is going to make you worse, or knowing what the research says about anxiety and pregnancy, fear of childbirth, it's going to have those effects in the long term, I think that still takes over, and you still get that more thought process of saying, yeah, but what happens if this happens in childbirth? What if this happens in childbirth? And I think there is certainly, I think for me, evidence of that, taking over more than my professional opinion. And I think that's probably why resources such as this are so important, because it doesn't matter. I think to me, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you know, what your background is. Everyone's still human. Everyone still experiences those emotions. And having a way to sort of quickly, effectively deal with those emotions is a really helpful thing for anyone from any background, I would say.
So have you been using some of the fearless birthing stuff as part of your journey so far?
So I've been doing some of the sort of the main head trash clearance stages a bit recently. So I've certainly, because the one thing I noticed on the way that the program works, a lot of it is akin to what you would find in regular sort of psychotherapy, I would say. So thinking about balancing out your feelings, reflecting on how you're feeling as well. A lot of that comes up in psychology anyway. So I've been starting to write down or think about what those fears have been specifically, and taking it from all areas of life, as I say, because it's coming in from so many directions at the moment. And I've been noticing my sensations whenever I feel like it, or just, for example, injections, thinking about the time, like when I last had a blood test, because I've had plenty of blood tests now for the baby, and reminding myself, this is how I felt, the tingling sensations and slight pulse racing, just noticing those things and noticing how it makes me feel inside. And so I've been doing the sort of the first couple of stages, and occasionally doing a bit of the tapas acupressure technique as well. And just getting started on that, and just taking a bit of time to give the rest of that a go, thinking about the mantras and memorizing those. So I have been making a start on it, I have to say.
When we met before you were pregnant, you said you'd used a little bit beforehand on your anxiety.
Yeah, so it was more to do, I was using, trying to use the technique initially with very sort of general anxiety. So having sort of interviews with people always makes me a bit anxious naturally. So I think I used it a couple of times in going through the technique, and again using the TAT method, going through the mantras with the book as well, because I've still got to memorize those mantras too. But I definitely felt like in those short-term moments it did have an effect and made me calmer in that moment. So the fact it was working in those couple of times that I've done it does make me feel quite optimistic that it's definitely going to have an impact on me this time, I would say.
And do you think having women that have high levels of anxiety before pregnancy, that has an impact on their pregnancy? Do you think that the anxiety levels they have pre-pregnancy can kind of maybe worsen during pregnancy, or are they going to stay the same? Have you got any perspective on that at the moment?
I mean, I don't have a specific direction. What I think, I would probably say that those that are what you tend to find in the relationship between pregnancy and mental health is, if you do have a previous history or condition, regardless whether it's anxiety or depression, it does make you a lot more susceptible to antenatal anxiety or antenatal depression, for example. So anyone who has experienced sort of high levels of anxiety in the past could be much more vulnerable to pregnancy-associated anxiety. But I think it's something that can happen to anyone, really. For example, I think I read a statistic the other day that said about 80% of women going through pregnancy do experience a fear of the pregnancy and childbirth process. So that's a much higher statistic than the percentage that would be going through anxiety before pregnancy anyway. So I certainly think it might make you more vulnerable to it, but I think anyone's going to be at risk of being anxious during pregnancy generally.
So let's talk a little bit more about the project itself then. Now you've got your personal interest in it and how you're resonating a lot more with some of these ideas and the fears and the anxieties we're talking about. Let's talk through, like, if somebody wanted to take part in this project, because we are still taking participants onto the study, aren't we? We've had some people through, but we're still looking for more numbers to come through. So for somebody who's interested, what is the process? What's going on for the study? What do they have to do to take part?
Okay, so in terms of our people we're looking for ladies who are pregnant, about to start or have started the second trimester of their pregnancy, and we're looking for over 18 years old UK residents. As long as you meet those basic criteria, what you would then do is contact myself via email, or there is a call for participants website that we have that can be sent out to people as well. So you would contact me via those ways, and I would talk you through give you another brief description of what the project involves. But if you then were to take part and you were happy to take part, you would then complete 4 surveys over a 3-month period. Those surveys are looking through generally how you're feeling right in that moment, how you've been feeling over the past month, looking through particularly how anxious and depressed you may have been as well, because looking at fearless birthing, we're particularly interested in how it impacts levels of anxiety, both generally and in pregnancy specifically, and also levels of depression as well, because with anxiety, often depression is associated with it as a mental health condition. So we're looking at specifically these sorts of questions and interested in sort of what other techniques you might be using already, or birthing preparation methods. So that's what you'll be doing over the 3 months. And at some point in that 3-month time period, we'll also give you access to the Fearless Birthing Programme itself. So that's an online course looking at how to clear the fears and anxieties in pregnancy, with some wonderful resources by Alexa in there as well. Also talking you through the head trash clearance method, how to clear those fears efficiently. And it's all very much a self-paced course that you can go through at your sort of comfort levels, at your pace. And what we do over the next couple of months after that is just give you the same sort of questionnaires again, just to see how much, if at all, your anxiety levels and maybe your depression levels have changed as well. So we're hoping to see if with the Fearless Birthing Programme that it does reduce those levels of anxiety and depression in people as well.
So all they have to do then is they just need to get in touch with you via the university or this website, the course participants website, which I will share the link for those people that are watching this or listening to this, wherever that may be. Yeah. And they need to be coming into their second trimester and UK residents. So that's fairly broad criteria, really, in order to get people on board. And so once we have, let's say it comes through and we are able to have some positive results, what's the potential of using information and data like this in the broader, in a more practical way? What do you see the potential for this to be?
I mean, I think it has a lot of potential. I think just from a practical perspective, what I think something like what the Fearless Birthing Programme offers is something that's, again, someone's, you can work at your own pace with it. It's all online, lots of individual resources available for it. And I think that sort of method is much more sort of available to people, and probably would make people feel more comfortable compared to going through traditional counselling and therapy methods if they didn't need to go through that. So having something there that's easily accessible and can be accessed at someone's own pace, I think is a great resource that could be available to people. Having that evidence to then say that yes, it does reduce anxiety, it does reduce depression levels, could really give good evidence from a wider perspective to say this technique works, please use it. It's going to help you even early on in pregnancy as well. So a lot of counselling, a lot of antenatal class courses, for example, often happen late in pregnancy when you may have had more anxious and negative thoughts ruminating for a long time. But something like the Fearless Birthing Programme, because it's self-paced, you can get started immediately. So having something like that that's easy to sort of distribute to people and say this is a really good quick method as well. Again, things like counselling don't work in the same way that something like the head trash clearance method might. So having something there that works at a much faster, more efficient pace for ladies going through anxiety in pregnancy, I think is a fantastic result to have if the results are positive.
Yeah, brilliant. So we're looking for more ladies to take part who, and do they have to be anxious to take part, or it can just be anybody? Are we looking specifically for people with anxiety and depression, or are we looking at maybe that anxiety that might come on during pregnancy? So people that maybe don't consider themselves to be anxious, are they welcome to take part?
Absolutely. Anyone who is, as long as you're starting that second trimester, it's anyone. You don't have to have anxiety specifically. You don't have to have been anxious before you're pregnant. As I say, the statistics did show that around 80% of women do experience that anxiety during pregnancy anyway. So, it's looking specifically at, how you are when you start the study, and then looking at the changes during those 3 months afterwards as a result of the Fearless Birthing Programme. So absolutely anyone who fits those very broad criteria can take part, regardless of whether they have a known anxiety or not.
Wonderful. Well, is there anything else you want to say about the project and the research collaboration that we're doing that maybe we haven't said already?
There's not much I can say other than just I've been really thankful for the opportunity, actually. It's really helped, I think, for me open my eyes to anxiety, not just from my own perspective in my small office in a psychology department building, but it also shows how much the reason why looking at emotion research such as anxiety is so important and how it really can impact people. So I think from looking at it both from a theory perspective for psychology and also just generally how much of a practical impact this could have, I think it's a fantastic project to be involved with. So the one thing I would just say, Alexa, is thank you for letting me be part of this collaboration.
Well, no, it's been wonderful, and I'm really excited to get, to see some results coming through. So I'm really, really excited to get something come through. So thank you, Megan. It's been wonderful chatting to you today. And if anybody has any questions as a result of watching this, then you can get in touch with myself via the Fear Free Childbirth website. Also, you can get in touch with Dr. Megan Barnard as well through the University of Nottingham and the details that I'll be sharing with this video and interview. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexa.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Dr. Megan Barnard speaking about anxiety during pregnancy. Now, if you'd like to take part in the study, if you're pregnant and you want to take part, then if you head over to fearfreechildbirth.com/study, then there you will find you'll be able to listen to this episode, but also find all the links that you need to be able to take part. So you'll be able to email Dr. Megan Barnard directly from there, or use the link to head over to the Call for Participants website where you can fill in your details and somebody will get in touch. Now, perhaps you listen to this and you're a birth professional or a therapist or a birth coach and you're thinking, oh, I'd love to use the fearless birthing method with my clients. Well, you can, because I do offer training for fearless birthing. So if you are interested in finding out more about the fearless birthing training, then you can head over to the website fearless-birthing.com/training. It's all online, so no matter where you are in the world, you can learn this method and use it with your clients very, very quickly. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope this was a useful episode, and we'll be back again soon with more on the Fear Free Childbirth podcast. Bye. Hello, you've just been listening to me, Alexia Leachman, on the Fear Free Childbirth podcast. Now, this is just a wee reminder that if you're looking for more help, support and guidance on your fear-free journey to motherhood, then visit fearfreechildbirth.com, where you can find fear clearance meditations, online birth prep courses, training for birth professionals, a membership community and programmes for overcoming tocophobia. Until next time, bye for now.